fans returned to the campus at St. John Fisher University for the first time since 2019 and were treated to what was a fun-filled, exciting, hard-hitting Bills training camp right here on the grounds in Pittsford. Plenty of news and notes to report from training camp this year, and we'll begin with the contract status of Jordan Poyer. Poyer did suffer an injury late in camp, but to begin camp, his agent Drew Rosenhaus was in attendance during the first week, and Poyer and the Bills continue to work toward what Poyer hopes is a lucrative contract extension after the safety earned All-Pro status for the first time last season, and Rosenhaus was here and apparently in discussions with Bills GM Brandon Beane. Another note to report, Tre'Davious White, another member of the Bills secondary, injured to start this season after suffering a season-ending ACL injury last season. And White has been seen on the field here at Fisher working and rehabbing from that injury, and it was recently reported by ESPN's Jeremy Fowler that the Bills expect White to be back on the practice field sooner rather than later. A few more injury updates for the Bills. Tyrell Dodson and Tavon Austin wrapped up training camp on the sideline, and their status for the Bills' first preseason game remains in question. But the Bills' offensive line is certainly getting healthier, as it was a long road to getting the full group on the field during training camp. But Day 12 saw the entire group participate in team drills for the first time, with Spencer Brown working his way back from an offseason procedure and new starting guard Roger Saffold suffering a rib injury during an offseason car accident, which held him out for the first several days of training camp practice. So the offensive line coming together, and they've had their hands full going up against a revamped Bills defensive line, which is highlighted by pass rusher Von Miller, who came over from the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams and has made a big impression on everybody thus far since being with the Bills. He has opened the door for other pass rushers to really get going here during training camp. Ed Oliver has burst onto the scene. Greg Russo has had a good start to the season, both in the run game and rushing the passer. So it's been a positive start for the Bills defense. They've really carried the day each day here at training camp, making things difficult on the Bills offense. Josh Allen has seen some struggles connecting with his receivers under new offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey, but it's really just been a factor of the defense putting forth their best effort day in and day out. Several of the Bills' rookies have shined thus far during camp, including receiver Khalil Shakir and running back James Cook. Both have been heavily involved with the Bills' first-team offense and appear set to be used quite a bit by the Bills come during the preseason and perhaps during the regular season. Defensively, cornerback Kaiir Elam has shown signs that he is ready to contribute at the professional level. Late-round pick Christian Benford has splashed onto the scene, and he's been on the field with the Bills' first-team defense, and he's expected to play a role for the Bills come this season as well. A few players are making their push for the final roster as they sit on the bubble, including tight end Tommy Sweeney, also cornerback Nick McLeod, and receiver Isaiah Hodgins. All three have had bright moments thus far during training camp. We saw 36,000 fans attend the Bills' return of the blue and red practice at Highmark Stadium, and that's just a preview of what's expected this season at the stadium, as the Bills are Super Bowl favorites, and that's expected to bring out the best of Bills Mafia this year. Reggie Gilliam signed a 2-year contract extension as the fullback tight end hybrid is set to make up to $5.2 million over the next 2 years, and Gilliam is really a key part to what the Bills do both on special teams and depth-wise on offense. One of the primary takeaways has been the emergence of wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie, who has asserted himself as what appears to be the starting slot receiver for this team as they approach the first preseason game, aiding his push to become the team's starting slot receiver. Jamison Crowder, a new addition to the Bills offense, did miss some time to an injury at the beginning of camp, but he has since returned and had a big play today on the final day of camp. About a 40 to 50 yard game came on a short pass that Crowder took for about 40 yards after the catch. Here on the final day of training camp, Coach McDermott gave a few updates in terms of playing time for the Bills' first preseason game against the Colts. Josh Allen not expected to play on Saturday, while the Bills undergoing an intense practice with the first team today, and that leads one to believe that the first team offense and defense will also sit out the game against the Colts this weekend. One more note coming from the final practice here today. Sean McDermott was asked whether or not the team would be inclined to return to St. John Fisher next season, And the coach said absolutely. He is in favor of returning to the campus here in Pittsford, as is the Bills franchise quarterback Josh Allen, both of whom seem to be in favor of that idea. It's been a fun few weeks here on the campus at St. John Fisher University. Alex Brasky for the Batavia Daily News, signing off. We'll see you in the preseason.